today. Thank you for being here with us from the Halls of Justice. My name is Wanda Khorovsky. I'm your host, and this is also my partner, Murvet Arnstien.
Oh.
She is also a producer and a host from the Halls of Justice. Thank you for being here, Murvet.
Glad to be here.
Our very special guest today is Judge Rudolph Diaz, and our topic is dependency court. Judge Diaz works for the largest court system in the world, and he's running the dependency court. I myself have worked in family law, and I know nothing about dependency court. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
Will you start off by telling us a little bit about what is the dependency system?
All right, I think to understand what it entails, I'm explaining a little bit about the court system itself. In Los Angeles County, as you pointed out, we are the largest court system probably in the world. We have over 500 judicial officers. We have at least 33 court sites in Los Angeles County.
Wow.
We have a civil division, we have a criminal division, and then we have a family law division. The family law division in smaller counties would probably consist of one or two judges who would handle the family law cases, the paternity cases, the juvenile delinquency cases, and the dependency cases.
Mm-hmm.
But Los Angeles, given that we have a population of 10 million, and we also are responsible for over 25,000 foster children at any time, consists of 21 judges or judicial officers who preside over the caseload. We have one court that's located in Lancaster because of its distance away from downtown, and the other 20 judicial officers are located in a centralized, relatively new court that was designed to be a child-friendly court, where, for example, the judge's bench is much lower than you'll see in most courtrooms. Also, it's a little more relaxed and not as formal as the other court proceedings. We provide teddy bears and crayons for children so that they can be a little more relaxed. So these children who are probably just experienced and have been experiencing trauma can feel a little more relaxed and comfortable and welcomed into a formal proceeding, actually, but not so formal for them.
Wonderful. How do children come into the system?
Most cases come by way of someone calling the child abuse hotline, which you can get right through 911. But also we have mandatory reporters, and they usually are teachers who become aware of situations. They watch children on a daily basis, see children struggling. They maybe counsel them and find out that there's problems at home. Then you also have psychiatrists who provide those services, and then you have doctors. And the common experience for a doctor is to treat a child for injuries. At birth, they test, of course, and if the child seems to be testing positive for drugs, then that doctor is responsible to notify the Department of Children and Family Services, who then conducts an investigation and decides whether or not it's time to do something.
Right.
Are all children detained?
Not all children are detained, and it depends on the circumstances. It depends on the situation, the nature of the abuse or the neglect or the abandonment. If a child seems to be in an environment where at the time there's no immediate risk of detriment to the child, more than likely that child will remain where he or she is at. And this usually refers to, for example, an allegation where there's been some sexual abuse, but it's been maybe months, a year when it came up. Still has to be investigated, but at this time, if the perpetrator is no longer in the picture, perhaps the child can remain at home or be placed with a relative, and if not, then the child is detained and placed in foster care.
Okay, so what happens to cases pending in other courts?
There can be other matters pending relating to the child. There may be a personal injury case, for example. There may be a family law case, and this happens quite often, where obviously the parents are divorcing, or there's a paternity action pending in the family law court. Our court, the dependency court, will take priority, and the orders that we make will take priority over any other matter before the family law. Children sometimes obviously get in trouble, and they may have a delinquency case pending. In that situation, the delinquency court will take priority over the dependency court.
Wow. Now, are the proceedings confidential?
The answer is yes, although the court has and can exercise some discretion in allowing other people to be in the courtroom. For example, if a child has been living with what we call de facto parents, living with somebody because there's been ongoing neglect or abuse or abandonment, the court, even though they're not related, will probably allow those parents to remain. There is a lot of discussion, however, going on now about opening the courts, and actually what would happen is that the exception would be for the interest of the children, it will then be confidential, but otherwise it would be open. There's still some concerns about publishing the names of the children, of course, and the parents, so that we can protect at least their identity. But opening up the proceedings so that other people can become more aware of it. As you say, nobody really knows much about these cases unless you practice in this field, and it's something that you don't specialize in as a rule.
Well, how are the parties appointed counsel? Because, like you said, in family law, we get people that call us, and we don't do dependency court. So,
right.
How do they find counsel?
The parties include the following. County counsel represents the Department of Children and Family Services. I'm going to use department for convenience sake when I say Department of Family and Children Services. The court doesn't have to appoint them. They come in by way of who they place into the various courtrooms. But there are 3 law firms in Los Angeles County who represent the children. We call them and refer to them as the minors counsel.
Okay.
And there may be 7 or 8 children from one family, and they will decide whether or not it's appropriate for the one minors counsel to represent one or all, and then if there's a problem because there are conflicts in the issues, then the court will appoint 2 minors counsel, and it could be 3. Sometimes there's a lot of parents involved, but each parent is entitled to be represented by somebody from the other 2 law firms. And you have a situation where there may be 1 mother and 6 or 7 daddies.
Oh my God.
So you have to, and you can't find them all. You can't find them all, but the ones you do find, you appoint counsel for. Some parents might be actually incarcerated, and we're going to have to bring them out of the facilities to allow them an opportunity to be present. And then we have a distinction between alleged parents, alleged fathers, and presumed fathers. And it's the fathers who are presumed, who are entitled to have more of a say or right, but the other parents are entitled to be present. So we have the 2 law firms, and if there's conflicts in representing the fathers, then we have another list of lawyers that we go to who are not actually in the law firm, but who are also trained. I mean, they have to have some background and have some specialization in this area of law.
Wow.
So how is the petition brought before the court, and who brings it?
When an incident is reported, there is an investigation that's conducted by a department investigator. They seek out arrest reports, interview police officers, interview the children, interview the families, their potential witnesses, and then they refer it to someone within the department who is a specialist in preparing an actual petition, and they will, utilizing the facts as they understand them, will then write up the petition, and it could be anywhere from 1 on really what the issues are in the case. And then it's presented, filed with the court, and then that's when the county counsel steps in and begins to represent the department.
Okay, so what types of allegations are contained in the petition?
The allegations are listed in Section 300 of the Welfare and Institutions Code, and there are various forms of abuse, physical, different degrees of abuse. There's sexual abuse, there's neglect, and neglect is a very broad area. It usually relates to parents who are drug addicted and neglecting the children. It may be also parents who have had no contact, like fathers, and have not